say multiple people were shot at a Chick-fil-A in Union, New Jersey. Eyewitness News reporter Anthony Carlo spoke to a witness who heard the gunshots. He's live at the scene with the latest. Anthony.
Yeah, well, Tanya, that witness, a Lyft driver who was in the area and describes hearing at least 7 gunshots. We'll get to him in a moment, but first I do want to show you a live look at this Chick-fil-A right now. You can see Union police officers in the middle of their investigation. They've got the establishment locked down, and family members tell me off camera that some of the workers are being held inside as police continue to conduct their investigation. This is on Route 22 in Union. If you know this area at all, you know it is a very busy area, especially on a Saturday night. You can imagine just how many people were inside trying to enjoy a meal when all of this happened. The Chick-fil-A sandwich between a Wingstop and other eateries and a Honda car dealership on the other side. This was at 9 o'clock tonight. There were reports of multiple people shot at this Chick-fil-A. I spoke to a father of one of the workers of at that establishment. He tells me off camera that his son called him in a panic, explaining that multiple suspects wearing masks entered the establishment with guns, and then several of his co-workers were injured in a shooting. The father of that worker tells me he rushed here and described what he called a war zone, with police rushing to the scene in a chaotic fashion. I also spoke with that Lyft driver I mentioned earlier who was in the area and describes hearing the barrage of gunfire.
I finished my trip over there in the return zone. I heard the shots. Yeah, what happened here? I'm staying in the return zone. I don't know what happened. When I finished my trip, I gone to Chick-fil-A to buy 2 hamburgers. Yeah, I see the police. I heard the shot very close.
How many gunshots did you hear?
More than 7.
Back here live again on Route 22 in Union. You can see again the investigation is underway with police officers in and out of the Chick-fil-A, and crime scene tape that continues to close off the entire establishment at this hour. The Union County Prosecutor's Office right now says this is an ongoing investigation. They have not released any details yet about what exactly happened here, so it is unclear at this time how many people were shot. It's also unclear what their conditions are at this time, and also part of this investigation, of course, the circumstances of this shooting, but certainly a frightening night in a very busy area as people grapple with gun violence here.
Just before 9 p.m. on a Saturday night, a busy Chick-fil-A in Union, New Jersey turned into an active crime scene. Police rushed to the restaurant on Route 22 near Gelb Avenue. Employees were reportedly still inside. Families waited outside for answers. And almost immediately, confusion took over the story. Officials said very little. Witnesses and relatives described panic, masked men and gunfire, but in the first hours, one thing stood out most. The public had more questions than facts. What exactly happened inside that restaurant? Who was targeted? And why did a normal evening suddenly end with police locking down the entire scene? This is the story of a case that, at least for now, remains more mystery than certainty. On Saturday night, April 11, 2026, officers responded just after 8:45 p.m. to reports of a shooting at the Chick-fil-A in Union Township, New Jersey. The location was identified as the restaurant on Route 22 near Gelb Avenue. By late that night, local reporters described a major police response. News 12 said the parking lot was completely blocked off. CBS New York reported officers and employees could still be seen inside the restaurant, while additional officers canvassed the parking lot outside. What officials publicly confirmed at that stage was limited. The Union County Prosecutor's Office described it as an active and ongoing investigation. WABC and other outlets reported that authorities had not yet released detailed information about what happened, how many people were shot, or the conditions of the victims. That silence shaped the early hours of the case. In many true crime stories, the first details are messy. Here, they were especially fragmented. Into that uncertainty came the witness accounts. CBS New York reported that a man who said his girlfriend worked at the restaurant claimed a group of men entered the store, went directly behind the counter, and fired multiple shots. WABC reported a father saying his son called in panic and described multiple suspects wearing masks, adding that several co-workers were injured. Those accounts are important, but they are still witness or family member descriptions, not yet official findings. And that distinction matters. In the earliest hours after a violent incident, rumors can spread faster than facts. What is confirmed is the location, the time, the police response, and the existence of an active investigation. Everything else must be handled carefully. Because in a case like this, the space between what people fear happened and what investigators can prove is where the real story begins. One of the most haunting parts of the early reporting was the sense of people being trapped in uncertainty. WABC said some workers told family members they were being held inside while police continued the investigation. That detail captures the emotional reality of the night. Not just a crime scene, but a restaurant suddenly transformed into a sealed environment full of frightened employees, investigators, and unanswered questions. For families, the silence would have been agonizing. A loved one calls in panic. Police lock down the building. News crews arrive. Social media begins circulating claims, and yet the official line remains almost unchanged. Active investigation, limited details, on more information later. That gap between fear and confirmation is often where public speculation explodes. In this case, it happened fast. Some reports pushed the story further. RLS Media reported that at least 6 people were shot, while other pickup reports repeated those numbers and even mentioned a death. But those figures were not confirmed in the more cautious local reporting from CBS, New York, News 12, and WABC at the time those stories were published. So for a responsible documentary script, those details have to stay in a separate category, reported by media, not confirmed by officials in the sources available so far. That may sound like a small distinction, but it is not. In a developing case, accuracy is everything. A script that rushes ahead of the evidence can mislead viewers. A careful script does the opposite. It lets the tension come from what is known, what is claimed, and what remains hidden. And in Union that night, what remained hidden may be the most unsettling part of all. At the center of this story is a question investigators had not yet answered publicly. Was this a random act of violence, a targeted attack, or the result of some confrontation that escalated inside the restaurant? CBS New York reported that a family member of one employee believed there had been some sort of altercation. Another witness account described several men going behind the counter before shots were fired. Those details suggest movement, intent, and possibly a specific objective. But at this stage, they remain claims, not conclusions. What we do know is that the scene drew a heavy response. The restaurant was locked down, and authorities treated the case with urgency. The Union County Prosecutor's Office offered no theory publicly in the early reporting, and that silence usually means investigators are still trying to secure witness statements, preserve evidence, and determine exactly how events unfolded. For a true crime audience, cases like this are compelling because they begin in chaos. But the real challenge is patience. Not every dramatic claim survives scrutiny. Not every first report turns out to be right. What matters now is what investigators can verify: who was inside, where the shots were fired, whether the victims were employees or customers, how the suspects entered, and whether the attack was planned in advance. None of those answers had been officially laid out in the reporting available by early April 12th. So for now, the Union Chick-fil-A shooting remains a developing case defined by fear, limited facts, and a long list of unanswered questions. And sometimes, in the first hours of a case, the mystery is not created by secrecy alone. It is created by the terrifying speed with which ordinary life can collapse before anyone understands why. Subscribe now to this channel and stay updated on how the investigation on this case is proceeding one after the other.